Board of Finance monthly meeting. Today is Thursday, July 20th, 2023. And before we start, I would just like to mention the passing of our dear friend Joe Hellauer. Joe was a longtime Woodward resident, and he served as the town administrator for many years. He was just generally a good guy, and he passed this last week, so just a mention of that. All right. Gay, are there any public comments?
There are no public comments.
No public. There's that echo again.
I know. I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah. Okay. Administrative Officer, Director of Finance report, Tony.
Thank you, Matt. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yep. So I have a preliminary report through June of 2023, and that's an estimated year-end surplus of about $1.1 million, which leaves our fund balance at $8.3 million, or 15.5% of our annual expenditures. I want to note that the $1.1 million is basically, or 1 million of it is basically from three sources. Interest income, which is projected surplus of just under $500,000. I don't think anybody could have anticipated the raise in rates that we saw in the last year. The second is state grants, and we had a surplus of $167,000 due to a MRSA, which is Municipal Revenue Sharing Grant, that we did not anticipate. And then the last item is the Amity School District surplus, which is $360,000, and that's from both their surplus of 228 and the fact that we had the failed referendum. We had actually had our contribution was higher than what ultimately happened. So those are really the bulk of the surplus. There are some minor surpluses in some like the registrar of voters, because we did not have a May election, so there were some savings there. The police department has some vacant positions, so there should be a surplus there of about $25,000. Waste management has been a challenge all year, and there's a transfer request to address that in this meeting. And finally, human services, a slight surplus, about $20,000, some savings and some part-time wages. But majority of the activity are those three areas.
Tony, when you hit the plus and it's the echoes.
Oh, it's terrible.
That's okay.
Could you repeat that?
Should we all mute except for the one that's speaking? Would that?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, maybe try that.
I am so not technology. I don't get technology.
Is this better? No, I'm not. It's not that. I'll find out later.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe if you turn down your volume.
I could.
Is this better?
How's that?
Better.
That's better.
Okay.
Okay, great. What I was going to ask is about the surplus and registrar of voters. But don't we anticipate that those costs will come up in November? So is that going to show up? Do you know what I mean?
So I believe they increased their budget to account for that in the 24 fiscal year, but in 23,
It's a different year.
it was a different year.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Woodbridge Board of Ed, I saw they spent down their surplus. I think we knew about that, and they still ended up with they have a small surplus on it. Tom, you might want to mention something about that. Status of the FY23 budget. We just did that, didn't we?
Yeah, so we're completing the we just did that. We're all set there.
And the audit.
The auditors are doing their field review this week, and they're finished by tomorrow. And basically, in their field review, they do a lot of testing of transactions, mostly payroll, accounts payable, and Those are two areas where they test a lot of transactions to make sure that on the payroll side, that the salaries and the payroll that we have in our ledger equals what's been authorized. And secondly, on payables, to make sure that there's purchase orders and invoices and everything's done properly. And it's both the town and the Board of Education they do. And another thing they do is, which is very interesting, is they review all of our legal invoices, because that's sometimes an area where you can identify perhaps a liability, a large liability that may exist through legal. And they did not identify any, but I thought that was an interesting exercise. They also review minutes of the Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen. That's some of the things they do during field review.
Okay. Anything else, Tony?
No.
Okay. All right, then funding requests. I need your help. I'm a little confused by this first one,
Okay.
the fire department. It says here, update, on January 11th, the Board of Selectmen modified this request to 30. The fire department was able to reduce the request to 210.
Yeah, to 10,000 from originally they requested 58.
Right.
Selectmen dropped it to 30. When the Board of Finance reviewed it at 30, you held it. You didn't act on it. And
Okay.
you said, well, let's see, if the fire department can cover the transfer in their budget, which you do every year when they present a request of this nature. And they were able to cover all of it except for $10,000.
Okay, so then this request is for 10,000?
Correct.
Okay. From 58
The 30.
to 30, we did nothing with it,
Correct.
and now it's 10. Okay, good.
Correct.
So let me get it on the table then. I will move acceptance of request for funding. Is it 222317?
Yes.
The amount of $10,000. Ellen, second. You're muted. Ellen, you're muted.
I said, I'll second it, but I still don't see that it's $10,000.
I know this form says there's no form. We didn't really get a form.
So the original form, does she include the form in the package? Yeah, see the form's at 30?
So we can just.
You have to amend it. See down below, it says,
Yeah.
yeah, you have to amend it to 10.
Okay, all right. Or modify.
Or modify, yeah.
Okay.
Modify it to 10.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any questions on this? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Ellen, Dwight, Tom, Donovan. Okay, good. A little confusing. Next is line item transfer 2223-36 in the amount of $28,000. And it's for to cover waste disposal tipping fees. So I'll move acceptance of line item transfer 2223-36 in the amount of $28,000.
I'll second.
Okay. Anything you want to talk about here, Tony?
No, not really. The only other thing I'll mention is that costs are going up, not down.
It's not necessarily the volume of waste, it's the cost.
Correct.
Okay.
The cost. It's the fact that restrictions are getting tighter. The Mid-Con plant has had a lot of issues. There's, the waste. There's not a lot of options for where to bring the waste. That's essentially the problem.
Okay, any questions for Tony? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Good, okay.
Hey, Tony, I just
Yes.
got a question. Do we
Yes.
have the amount covered for next year?
Yes, it's in the budget.
So we have enough. So we don't have. to go
Well,
through
the only issue we may have is, the reason why we may have a slight shortfall is because our tipping fee is based off of CPI. And the CPI is not identified until like May, according to the contract. And it was down, as opposed to earlier in the year, which is good. We're part of a consortium of about 10, 12 towns, including Bridgeport, Westport, Fairfield, number of larger towns in the Fairfield County area. So there may be a slight variance, but nothing of this nature.
Okay.
Okay, next is line item transfer 2223-37 in the amount of $110,000, which is, this is paid for by the vendors who use the policemen, but we have to transfer it into the tax account to pay for it. So again, this is not costing the town anything. This money was billed to the vendors. I'll move acceptance of line item transfer 2223-37 in the amount of $110,000. Ellen seconds, okay. Anything else that's pretty cut and dry?
That's
Tony?
pretty self-explanatory. You
Right,
mentioned it. Yep.
We got the money for this. We just have to
Correct.
move-
We collect it from the vendors,
Right, we
mostly
had it in the
utilities
revenue
and
account.
tree companies, et cetera, et cetera. We collect the revenue. Now we have to transfer it to cover the expenditure that's related to private duty.
Okay,
And the revenue is collected for that purpose.
right,
I just have to estimate something in the budget. And so I usually estimate on the average to lower than average side, and this year was a little higher than average.
okay. Any questions on this? No? All those in favor? Aye, aye. Aye. Okay. Next is the New Year. And this is a line item transfer to cover, I guess they were having, the kids are swimming at the Woodbridge Club, is that my understanding?
No, that was the
No.
first. We did that one already. This is
Oh,
for,
okay, I'm sorry.
this
I'm
is
losing
for the
next one.
general code.
This
This was
is,
an initiative by
update
the selectmen.
Town's online general code. Yeah, we already did that one, right? All right, so this is, again, a line item transfer 232402 from fringe benefits to the Board of Selectmen. I'll move acceptance of line item transfer 2324-02 in the amount of 6,300.
Second.
White. Anything special on this, Tony, or?
Actually, what I want to mention is, I'm still working on some of the preliminary information, but you'll notice it's coming from the retirement account. Due to a successful initiative by the Comptroller Scanlon, we're going to save quite a bit of money on our retirement because of the changes to the MRF program. So
Oh, that's good.
it could be $100,000.
Wow,
So I will have more information on that next meeting, but I just wanted to mention that good news.
okay, good. Anything else on this? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, good. Next are the minutes of our June 15th meeting. And I will move acceptance of the minutes of June 15th as presented. Second, Ellen, okay.
Second.
Any corrections, adjustments, anything at all? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Aye.
And I
I
abstained,
abstain.
I wasn't there.
I wasn't
Tom's
there last
abstaining
meeting.
and Dwight's abstaining?
Yep.
So it's 302. Correct. 3 in favor, 0 no. Okay, good. Takes care of that. Next. First Selectmen's report, Beth,
Can you hear me okay? My volume's
Yep.
down.
we got you.
Great, okay. The new Woodbridge Center is complete and the space has been completely transformed into a modern and inviting community resource. If you missed the grand opening in late June, I hope you take a few minutes to go over and see for yourselves. We're so very grateful for all the work that has gone into transforming the old senior center into new welcoming center for our residents 55 and older. The Board of Selectmen is considering, after some residents have requested, charging for the electricity used by folks at the EV chargers. Both the chargers at the Public Works Garage and the library have been upgraded. Software and related equipment to allow the chargers to accept credit card payments is on order for both of those. We've spoken with Brian West at CCM to find out what other towns charge, and they're actually in the process of gathering data, how to charge per hour, maximum charging time per vehicle, etc. Our vendor will then program each charger to the specifications we choose once we gather the data, and I will keep you informed on this. So a little bit of revenue. coming in. A very happy thing to tell you about. You might remember 5 years ago, the town received a memorial gift of $110,000 from the charitable organization One Big Dog Animal Respite Fund, named in memory of longtime animal lover and supporter Bridget Albert. The gift originated from the estate of a woman named Janice Wright and was donated with the hope that the One Big Dog Respite Fund would help as many dogs and cats as possible. One Big Dog Respite Fund is coordinated by Chief Animal Control Officer Karen Lombardi and Woodbridge resident Laura Torrance. The $110,000 in funds from a STEEP grant facilitated the much-needed renovation at the Woodbridge Regional Animal Control Facility down at 135 Bradley Road. It's an honor and a pleasure to work with them both, Karen especially. And Karen did help who facilitated the donation to the town, and she did also oversee the renovation. In 2014, the then Board of Selectmen voted unanimously to approve naming the new Public Works garage in memory of former First Selectman Edward Morm Sheehy. With this history in mind, I proposed, and it was unanimously approved by the Board of Selectmen, that we name the facility the Karen Lombardi Animal Shelter. The One Big Dog Respite Fund will be creating and dedicating a memorial garden at the shelter this fall. There will be plaques installed for Janice Wright and also Bridget Albert, acknowledging their donations. And there's going to be benches in the memorial garden for families to meet prospective pets with prior to adoption, as well as a space for quiet contemplation. And I will keep you informed and let you know what date that is planned for. Lastly, Town Council Jerry Weiner reported to the Board of Selectmen that there are different opinions as to when newly elected incumbent officials may take office after the November 7th municipal election this year. The opinions concern the few towns that change from May to November elections in accordance with the new state laws. Attorney Weiner had several conversations with Vincent Marino, town attorney for Bethany. That's one of the other towns that has this issue. After discussing the issues with Attorney Marino, representatives of the Secretary of State's office, and staff in the legislature, it is now concluded that each town has 70 days from the date of the election, which is November 7th, to swear in the newly elected officials. The Woodbridge Board of Selectmen previously voted to have the swearing in occur on December 31st, and we will now move forward with that decision. Accordingly, the swearing in will occur on or close to December 31st, and the new terms of the elected officials will begin January 1st, 2024. So that's finally settled. Oh, what a mess. Okay, with that, anybody have any questions or hell or out?
So out of curiosity, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Ellen, you're muted.
The new term begins January 1. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
You got it.
So when will the Board of Selectmen, you don't know, you're not going to be on it, but they usually meet before that to pick all the boards and commissions.
That's correct. I will not be part of the new board, obviously, because I'm not running for re-election. However, sometime in January, there's a regular Board of Selectmen meeting second Wednesday in December, and I'm assuming sometime right after that, the new board or the newly elected Board of Selectmen will meet to do the appointments of the boards and commissions and all that. Maybe they'll do it in between Thanksgiving and I'm not sure. That's up to the new board.
Okay.
They have from November 7th to December 31st to do all those appointments.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Beth.
You're welcome.
Are there any reports anybody'd like to make? Liaison type reports? Okay. Then I will make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
It's non-discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. We don't meet in August normally unless something pops up. So we'll see you all in September. Have a good rest of the summer.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Safe.
Bye.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye.